GMT800s with threatening auras, hoss. Watch out for them clippings. Let's get started. Yes, this is a GMT800. It's a 2006 Chevy Silverado with the 5.3. Actually, Hoovie was just up here a little bit ago. He was doing some filming on his channel, and we both discussed and talked about this truck and said this is where it's at. If you're looking for a truck today, you don't want to spend $97,000. You can get these for 10, 15, 20 range, depending on the condition that they're in, and they're bulletproof. This does not have AFM, DOD, OBGYN, sending out an SOS. It doesn't have any of those acronyms. It's just a good old plain 5.3 V8. This does have over 200,000 miles on it. It's still going strong. It does have some issues. That's why it's here. It has some concerns with the front differential. Has some seat issues, which we don't really get into upholstery that much here. It has an ABS light on, and a few other issues we're going to take a look at today. But definitely wanted to get a video out to you guys to show you what kind of truck should I buy if I'm in the market. It's definitely going to be 05, 6, maybe 7, some of the classic range of these GMT 800s. Very, very good truck. Let's take a look around it. Here's the front of this 06 Chevy, and you can see it has some fogged out headlamps, and it's looking a little worse for the wear as far as clarity, but they still operate just fine. It does have the nice 17s with some Yokohama Geolander on it, AT. These little rub strips on the side are starting to fade, but the rest of the body is in pretty good shape. Has some paint chips here or there, but nothing serious. It is a Z71. Here's some more of those paint chips I'm talking about. This truck's been used a little bit, which you expect it to be. Overall, it's in pretty good shape. Let's go ahead and hop under the hood. This truck is certainly going to need a few things addressed. When you have several items you need fixed, where do you begin? I like to start with figuring out the biggest issue first and then tackle the smaller issues. I'm not talking about band-aid fixes either. Sometimes the repairs we make are tough and complex. I also apply this tactic to my personal life. When I was much younger, before I got this gray hair in my beard, I used to bottle up my problems until I felt like I was going to explode. Ignoring the problems and stuffing them aside was not the best thing to do for me or the people around me. Over the years, Mrs. Wizard and I have had some intense and complicated discussions. Now, I've learned to face things head on and right away. Having someone to talk to has made all the difference. If you find yourself feeling not your usual self and wish you could break out of the slump you're in, you should look into BetterHelp. BetterHelp is a continuing sponsor of this channel and has helped over 6 million people. They make it easy to get help. Just fill out a simple questionnaire. They will match you with a therapist based on your preferences and therapist's clinical experience. To get started, click on the link in the description or go to betterhelp.com/carwizard and get 10% off your first month of therapy. Just as your car deserves to run at peak performance, so do you. Start living a better life today with BetterHelp. Now back to this truck. So this is our venerable 5.3 V8, and if we take a look underneath the intake right here, you can see there's a flat aluminum plate. That's how you can tell it is non-AFM. It doesn't have a myriad of mazes and patterns and things on that plate. It's just flat because it's no AFM. It's dirty, it's dusty, but it runs like a top. Very, very good engines. It's based off the LS1, LS series of motors, and they're pretty much bulletproof. It's not uncommon to see 300,000 or 400,000 miles or more out of these engines without a major teardown or rebuild. And even when they do have issues, it's like a cakewalk to take them apart, repair them. I can almost take apart one of these engines blindfolded. They are so easy to work on. You could take the heads off and put them back on without doing anything with timing chains or timing belts. Really, really, really good, easy to work on engines. As you take a look around the engine bay, you can see there's plenty of room on front to get to water pump and pulleys and belts and all those different things. And on the sides, you can almost sit on the side and work on exhaust manifolds or coils or anything like that. Very simple to work on. We don't really have anything going on as far as issues under the hood, so let's go ahead and let Mrs. Wizard show you guys around the interior.
Okay, ladies and gents, here we go. Nice gauge cluster. Let me go ahead and turn the key. And before I do that, look at this key. It's just a plain Jane key. No fancy buttons, fobs, and batteries. Nope, just a standard key. Go ahead and turn that on a click. Look at that, 212,275 miles. Wow. Okay, and well, it's got some miles on here, especially for an American truck. Let's go ahead and look at the rest. Dash, looking nice, nothing cracked, nothing broke up there. Got some nice dust, but hey, that's protection layers. As we look at our dash, everything is looking good. Got a little spot there, to keep some wet knots in there. Simple controls for our HVAC as we move down. Got another little storage tray. We've got a mirror. Oh, well, this mirror is actually going to go live over here. Yeah, he's kind of had a hard life. There he is. There's Wizard playing on his phone while I'm giving my tour. Thanks, Wizard. That's okay. I play on my phone when he films too. But nonetheless, here we are, center console looking good. I like how this has this nice recessed area where you can put a phone, something in here, and it's not going to go flying when you accelerate or decelerate. The seat is pushed forward, and it has nothing to do with the problem it has. It's just pushed forward to access the back seat. I like how we have an armrest that can be fully nested in, or it can be lowered, whichever works best for the passenger. Door card, what we can see of it is looking nice, but again, lots of gray plastic in here. The back seat, and this is a full back seat. This is a 5-seat vehicle because we don't have an area between the two captain seats in the front to put another person, but it is a true back seat, and look how much space is back there. Look, they come prepared. We've got a charge box, we've got a first aid kit. Yeah, they're prepared in this one. Headliner, looking nice, looking really good in here. So as we look at the steering wheel, okay, looking good. And here is where our first bit of wear is. Yeah, with 212,000 miles on here, the steering wheel has been gripped a few times. And yeah, it's getting a little bit of blistering up there from the sun. That's it. So the only real repair we see right here, at least, is going to need just a cushion, just like a little wrap, or maybe one of those little things you can put over your steering wheel. That's it. But there is one other thing, and I have to get out to show you. So here I am, I've out of the seat, and you can see right there, yeah, it's had a few times in and out, in and out, in and out. And these sides, these bolsters on the edges of the bottom half definitely take some wear and tear. And this has seen better days, but it does work because if we do move this, it can move the seat forward and backwards. So it's not that it's non-functional, it's just no longer attached. So enough of this interior talk, let's get this up in the air and see what it looks like underneath.
So 212,000 miles, let's see what we can find underneath this GMT800. So our radiator is right up above this bar, kind of in that area, and there's nothing leaking. I don't see anything dripping, so we're good to go there. Check out these wheels. Brake pads are like 90%. CV boots are good. The Bilstein shocks are not blown. Nothing loose there. Sway bar link is good. Same thing over here. Brakes are in good shape. Shocks in good shape. CV boots are not torn. And I don't see anything loose going on here, and sway bar link is good. Here's a very common issue on all of these GMT800s is the axle seals start to leak. This one's not really bad enough to dive in yet, but it's just a tiny bit. And if you just have this very tiny seepage, you're okay to leave it alone. You don't have to fix every single little thing all the time. You can if you want it to be immaculate like a show car, but if not, that's not going to hurt anything. Let's go ahead and check the bottom of the engine here. So check this U-joint. It's a little bit of play, but not much. And we do see a bunch of gunk on the oil pan. That's the actual oil pan gasket that's leaking. You can see right here where I'm touching, sometimes that little oil cooler block-off plate will leak on these. Very common as well, but this one happens to be the oil pan itself. Transmission's in good shape. With this many miles, if it hasn't had a service, we're not going to do one. Over 150,000 miles in a transmission, we won't touch it. But this one's shifting good. It's not leaking, no issues there. Here's our transfer case, and someone wrote on it, it's been drained. So I guess it's been serviced. I would hope that has been. So if you're going to mark it with serviced and a date. Drained means, did you drain the fluid? Okay, did you fill it back up? I hope so, but I imagine that they did. Right over here is a very common failure on these, the ABS unit, and this one's no exception. It has ABS light on, pump motor fault. So it's usually this module needs to be taken off, and I can usually fix them in-house and resolder the pins inside. We'll check the back drive shaft. That one feels pretty good. Here's our exhaust. Everything's intact. Plastic shield on the fuel tank. Here we are at our differential. Nothing's leaking. Neither the pinion seal or the rear gasket on the cover plate is leaking. It's not. So our drums, we did have the drum brakes removed, the drums themselves removed. The drums are doing fine, the wheel cylinder's fine. We did see a small axle seal leak on both sides, so we'll let the customer know about that. It's got some good Bilsteins on it and they're not blown or leaking or anything. And we have some air in our spare. Let's get this thing on the ground and talk about what else is wrong with it. One of the complaints is that it has a battery draw, and in previous videos I've used my amp hound. You can also use other tools. That's one we use in the shop to check for battery draws. And this one would have a really heavy draw that would cycle on, off, on, off. And we got it to act up. And just as soon as we got our tools set up and ready to start testing, it stopped. And it hasn't done it for 3 days now. The customer did advise that it'll randomly just do that, and then it'll go for 2 or 3 weeks and be happy and not do it anymore. So that one's going to be really tough to track down. It needs to be actively draining and causing the issue so we can find out where it is. Because if it's not doing the drain, it could be anywhere. There's nowhere to test. So we're hoping and praying that maybe it will start doing it again before it leaves. If not, there's not going to be much we can do for them. So that is a standstill right now as far as figuring out what's draining it. Currently, it's not doing it. Kind of annoying. I'd like to find out where that battery drain is, but very likely it's going to have to go back home with the customer with whatever's going on still happening, and they'll have to bring it back either while it's happening, or if it gets to be more frequent. Let me know in the comments if you guys ever experienced something like that. I've had customers bring in vehicles before, and it's really strange. It's like it does this really weird thing on every third Tuesday only at 2 a.m. I'm not going to be able to find that. That's impossible. It needs to be doing it every couple days, or at least a couple times a day, or something like that. So let me know in the comments if you guys ever experienced that. Now, even with all the things that this truck needs fixed, which really isn't all that much. It needs the ABS module rebuilt. It needs maybe some few small leaks taken care of, a mirror and a seat and a few things, and it'll be back on the road and still trucking, still going. Even with all that going on with this truck, I would take this any day without any second thoughts over a brand new Chevrolet. 25, 26, you couldn't give me one of those. In fact, I read an article the other day that says the 6.2 V8s, the new V8s they're putting out in 25 and 26 trucks, are failing so much. Almost all of them are failing. In fact, it's beyond even a recall. It's to the point where even the government is getting involved, and there's possibility of some massive lawsuits. Huge lawsuits. So Cadillac, GMC, Chevrolet, 25, 26, do not buy none of them. None. I don't care what kind of deal you get, don't. But if you don't have to have a shiny, brand new $97,000 truck, you just need to work, or maybe haul a trailer, or just need a truck. Something like this, although it's older styling and maybe it's not as fancy schmancy, these things just keep going and keep going and keep going. They seem to last forever. I really don't want to dislike any make or model of car. And as far as the newer cars, I just want them to work. They shouldn't break down all the time. You guys seen a video not too long ago on a Bronco Sport that came in. It didn't have very many miles on it, and the cylinder head was cracked, and it took out the turbo, it took out the cat, and apparently that's happening on a lot of them. Like multiple tens and maybe even hundreds of thousands of them all over the world, I guess. Massive problems on all the big automakers in 25 and 26. I don't know what caused it. I don't know why it's that way, but it's really, really sad. And like Hoovie said when he was here, he was like, this is the ticket. If you're looking for a truck and you don't need it to be fancy, GMT800 all the way. Over a Ford, over a Dodge, anything else, a Ram. They really, really are great, great trucks. If you demand to have a touchscreen and Bluetooth and GPS and all those things in your vehicle, you can add that to these. You can remove the stock radio and put in a system that actually has a large screen on it, and it has all those creature comforts that you're looking for in a newer truck, but yet still have a bulletproof GMT800. Like I mentioned a minute ago, one of the big hallmarks about these is that the average person can fix a lot of things themselves. Some things require a lift, like if you have to pull suspension apart or drop a fuel tank or things that could be dangerous, you definitely need a shop to do those. But coils and plugs and a belt or a water pump, there's a lot of people out there that can do that themselves. And the second thing I want to really push on these is the parts are everywhere. There's plentiful parts at every corner parts store for an LS-based V8. There's tons of parts. And they're not going to be going away anytime soon. So really, really good vehicles. I really wish I knew what was going on with a lot of automakers today where they're having massive engine and transmission failures. GM also has another failure going on their 10-speed automatics on the new vehicles. I actually watched a YouTube video from another YouTuber that does shop work like I do. They're having some of the trucks come in where the rear end locks up while you're on the highway and it skids you off into the ditch. There's no known fix. There's really nothing they can do. Something fails inside the transmission and just locks it up hard. And there's so many of them failing that there's more bad ones than there are good ones. They don't even have enough new transmissions to replace them. I don't know what's going on. If they don't get it together and get it figured out, they're going to go bankrupt because nobody's going to buy their cars. And it's not just GM, it's Ford, it's Ram, it's all the Toyotas, has some engine failures too with their twin turbo V6s. It really doesn't matter the brand right now with the new cars. They're just junk. So definitely if you have one of these already, 2003, 4, 5s, any of those GMT800 year trucks, definitely keep that in mind. If it starts to nickel and dime you and this is broken, that's broke, maybe I should look into a newer truck or a brand new truck, don't do it. Just fix what you have and keep it going. That's what this customer's doing, and I've been seeing that happen a lot lately, especially with these trucks, as people say, you know, this and that's broke, I'm just going to get it fixed. Even if it costs $4 or $5 grand, I'm still money ahead than signing a loan for $90,000. So I definitely wanted to get a video out there for you guys to show this GMT800. It does have some issues. They're going to get fixed, and it'll be back on the road for at least another 200,000 miles. It literally has that much life left in it. And that if you're in the market for a brand new Ford, a Ram, a Chevy, I'm not knocking any certain brand. I'm knocking all the brands, bro. All of them. I wouldn't buy a brand new vehicle today. And it's sad. I hate to have to tell you guys that, but that's just the way it is. If you're curious what kind of tools we're going to use to work on this Chevy truck, check our Amazon affiliates link in the description below. A lot of the tools we use every day, tried and true and proven, in the shop are for sale there. And if you purchase anything there, we get a small cut and really appreciate it. Make sure to hit the subscribe button because next week we have a ton of cars coming in, which means a ton of videos for you guys to watch. Thanks for watching.